Welcome back, everybody. Part 4 coming at you. It's been 2 weeks. That's how long it's been. And I had a beard 2 weeks ago, and now I have this nasty stash that now I'm looking kind of is a little uneven. It's okay. It's all right. Let's just read. Let's read. Okay, hold on. There we go. Were any of y'all there when I was reading The Pearl by John Steinbeck and we were playing here, hold on. We were playing this. We were spinning something. We were spinning this. We were spinning a little old Franklin Ocean. You remember that? How was that? That was a good time, right? Stache. Yes. Stache. Stachulous. Fabulous. Stachulous. Okay. Let's read a little bit, huh? Cynicism deliberately upset the conventions of philosophy and the pedological relationship it depended upon. To this might be added the further suggestion itself a little scandalous. The cynics brought the underpinning aggression of Western education to the surface by basing their educational relationships in the form of an insult. In doing so, cynics place the bodily firmly at the center of their teaching practice as educational activity, and by contrast, the stiff austerity of Platonism. Cynic philosophy is rooted in the experience of the body, which embraces as essentially ungovernable. The body betrays us precisely when we wish it would submit. Contrast this to Plato's dialogue in Phaedlo, in which the body is conceptualized as a distracting source of loves, desires, and fears, and all sorts of the fancies and great deals of nonsense, with the result that we will literally never get an opportunity to think at all about anything. So long as we remain adversely affected by it, Pluto continues, there is no chance of our ever attaining satisfactory to our object, which we assert to be truth. For the cynic, the body operates very differently. In relation to the radically altered understanding of truth and how it is to be produced, cynic truth appears as a product of scandal, as a scandal of the truth, in Michael Foucault's words, an event that is mediated by the body and its emissions. The scandal helps question educational regimens that submit to restrictive conceptions of truth or wisdom based on a promise of realization and fulfillment that is forever withheld. The cynic notes how this educational promise is itself attached to a demand, a call to uh, dom- domesticate the body in anticipation. And by the way, of preparation for a promise that is never delivered, by explicit contrasts where the unrestrained, immediate, and laughable presence of cynic truth appears, the body of the truth is made visible. Cynic truth appears in a style of life that undermines the abstract seriousness of the controversial truth, with its claim to improvement and its persistent deferrals. Cynic truth is indexed to the cynic body, which bears witness to reality, bringing to question the value of so called higher things and the demands they make upon us. Where Plato sought to define the soul as being in its radical separation from the life of the body, the cynic operates in the opposite direction, seeking to reduce life to itself, to what it is in truth. As Foucault interprets, this basic truth is revealed through the very act of living as a cynic, where the cynic does not simply cast aside his or her last possessions. Rather, all Pointless conversation and all superfluous opinions are to be given up in a great stripping of existence. In each case, the true life takes a different form. For Plato, it is associated with the life that is simple, the life that does not conceal its intentions, is straight, undeviating, and orientated to a higher order. The philosophical life is set against the life of those who still fall prey to the multiplicity of their desires, appetites, and impulses. The true life is evaluated by its adherence to the rules of good conduct, but more than this, by its overall unity. Uh, it is the life that remains unchanged in the face of adversity. The higher the existence is achieved by those few who have the strength and discipline to maintain a secure and stable identity oh my God, amid corruption and upheaval. It is the life of an incipient, educated elite, of those who justify their elevation above the uneducated, uncultivated masses in the near cosmic terms. As such, it becomes the object of desire of philosopher, emperors, and statesmen, much as Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Julian. With adjustment, it will form the underpinning assumption of a 19th century liberal education and its masculine ideal, the liberal gentleman, which, shorn of its more obvious elitism, still influences us today. This in the guise of the educated person who espouses virtues of moderation and consistency from positions of relative comfort. This was a considerable edifice to oppose the remains so. Even in its watered down form, contemporary secular manifestation, the educated person who values people of substance, taste, and cultivated intellect above those without. That actually gave me a stare. That actually gave me a scare. Actually gave me quite the fright. Hmm. Um, it is. Oh my God. For the cynic, yeah, maybe. For the cynic, the true life operates completely differently. It is a dog's life. Diogenes was known as the dog and responded and, and responded in kind at a dinner. Some people were tossing bones at him as if he were a dog, so Diogenes rid himself of them by pissing on them. Diogenes remained true to his philosophy in this sense, doing in public what others conceal. He extended, if not radicalized, Pluto's injection to be inflagging in one's commitment to truth and remain unchanged in the face of adversity. By acting the part of the dog, Diogenes inverted the humiliation intended for him. He embraced caricature his caricature, enduring the dignity of those he pissed on, acting without modesty or shame. Mm, mm, mm. All right, not bad. That's chapter 2. 2 weeks in the making. Let's get on chapter trace then. Deface the currency, ancient cynicism beyond the pale. From the perspective of civilized society, dogs should be toilet trained. They must be subjected to the will of their masters as they learn to master themselves, for the Greek philosopher, mastery always begins at home. The true life is interpreted as a sovereign life, in which philosopher achieves or at least works toward self-mastery. This life is sovereign insofar as it attempts a degree of self-control, submitting the faculties of mind and body to the will of the intellect. No part of a philosopher's self, thus imagined, should escape the discipline and composure of a well governed mind. This kind of self possession is not only the high ideal to which Plato's philosopher king aspires, it is also the Roman Stoic dream of a figure such as Seneca. According to the distinctly masculine conception of philosophy, it is believed that the sovereign life will be beneficial to others. Okay. Indeed, the generosity of the sovereign life is constructed as if it were an obligatory necessary component of that existence. The philosopher provides students and friends alike with assistance and direction, extending the same care of self that has resulted in the philosopher's self mastery to the care of the student or friend. Man, I always get so tired reading. There will be wider benefits too, since the philosopher's life offers a lesson that is of greater, if not universal, significance. The splendor and brilliance of the sovereign life and the life of complete self mastery adorns humankind from this point of view and educates it too, having an influence so profoundly far reaching it continues long after the philosopher's exemplary life has ended. Such ideas have maintained their dominance. They recur, for instance, in the 19th century revival of liberal education and, at a lower level, the development of popular schooling that was based on, in part, on the notion that teachers would act like secular priests, serving as more exemplars to be educated by the offspring of the poor. Such ideas may have also been found in the argument for a modern humanities curriculum, which claims that people of culture and refinement are necessary to bear society through periods of fragmentation. There were no uh, what? Oh, where no era has faced so much difficulty as a modern period. It remains the case that the security of humankind within institutions of higher education, and particularly the rest of continuing assumptions that they are intrinsically supportive of civilizations, that is, of the establishment, it is not necessary to be a cynic to point out the long-standing dependency people between people. Oops, those like the true life, the idea of a sovereign existence is hijacked and undermined in a characteristic gesture of cynic deterrement. The very idea of sovereignty is inverted and deteriorated, dirtied. The cynic also claims to be living a sovereign existence, to be a king amongst men, but adopts the mantle of a sovereign existence only to bring it down to earth. The philosopher has achieved a sovereign self composure rather than differently. To develop a point introduced in the preceding chapter, the cynic chooses to pursue destination, pushing back the limits of what he or her can say to bear, in order to develop a completely different way of writing and reading. The cynic life involves a dedication to others that operates without gratitude. Did I read this page? Yeah. Oh my god. I'm so sleepy, bruh. Public benefactor, but cynic generosity is self curiously and deliberately harsh. In words attributed to Diogenes, other dogs bite their enemies, but I, my friends, so as to save them. He bites them to save them from their philosophical. If you question it, the answer is yes. I am sleepy. Yes. Yes, I am. Oh man, I need to take a nap, but I also got history homework to do. Hey, like a nice 15-minute wouldn't wouldn't kill me. Besides, how many pages have we read already? We've read quite a lot. Oh, it's only take 15 minutes to almost read 10 pages. This is fantastic. Aggressive teaching, the first section of chapter 3. With the conception of the cynic in mind, Foucault describes a cynic as an aggressive benefactor whose main instrument is, of course, their famous diatribe. The cynic speaks out and attacks. There is something deliberately openly violent about cynic philosophy. Nonetheless, portraying cynic philosophy in this way as a philosopher that benefits others by inflicting violence upon them risks presenting cynics as straightforward aggressors, though Diogenes would harm others, flatter them even. The ability to switch between aggression and charm provides another example of cynic's flexibility. It offers further evidence of the militant, suppleness of the way of life designed to negotiate and unpick social relations, confusing or wrong, whoa, wrong footing. The cynic's uh, inloc- inlocutor, encouraging pride and good feeling, if it only were to prepare for the way additional aggressive exchanges. At first, notable in Victorian Chrysotome explains Diogenes would use honeyed words, just as nurses, after giving a children a wiping, tell them a story that comforts their past and pleases them. Undue focus on cynic aggression also it risks downplaying the distracting from the more easily disguised because apparently benign violence of other breeds of benefaction. It implies by contrast that the generosity of other schools of ancient philosophy, where philosophy convinced to, were convinced as physicians of the soul, was a generosity without aggression. This reflects how those schools presented themselves where the violence of philosophy is recognized, needed for the reorientation of the soul. Jesus. From the perspective of respectable philosophy, um, it makes as much sense to describe the philosopher who cares for the soul as an aggressive as it does to describe the doctor who administers surgery as a perpetrator to violence. However, such justification. Oops. Uh, by drawing attention to the violence of its own philosophy and by holding all rebels in such a low esteem, cynicism points out that if we were able to doubt the philosophy, we must able to see its aggression. Cynicism makes the point that the philosophers who gives kindly advice, who perhaps adorns humankind with the beauty, with beautiful examples of his presence, is also aggressive in promoting his version of good. The cynic is unique only for openly declaring his or her aggressive intent. All right. Look, I think I'm just going to stop there because I don't want to fall asleep on stream. That was 10 pages. That's kind of how we've always rocked. A little 19-minute quick episode. I think I'm going to close my eyes for a little bit. But thank you all for indulging me. And yeah, God, I might need to start like drinking juice before I do these so I don't fall asleep, or like a coffee or something, because I really want to finish this book. But yes, goodbye. Thank you.